Welcome to part 6 and the final part of this Blender tutorial series where we're creating this stylized winter forest environment. If you haven't seen the other parts, you can check out the tutorial playlist linked in the video description. So this is the final part. In this part, we're going to be just finishing up the lighting, animating the camera. We're also going to be animating some snow falling down the scene, doing the rendering, the compositing, and the video editing. And if you'd like to purchase the tutorial project files, you can do that on my Gumroad store and Patreon page with the links in the description, and that's a great way to help support the channel. Now, if you enjoy creating stylized animated environments, then you might be interested in checking out my Animated Butterflies product. With these rigged animated butterflies, you can quickly add stylized butterflies to an animated scene. The product comes with 5 different pre-animated butterfly models, with different wing patterns and colors. The butterfly's wings are pre-animated with shape keys. There are 2 versions of each butterfly. One version isn't moving, so you can animate the butterflies manually using the empty object. The other butterflies are pre-animated along a curve, so you can easily adjust the curve shape to edit the butterfly's location in your scene. Check out the product with the link in the description. Alright, so to make the scene less laggy in the viewport, I'm going to hide the rocks as well as all of the others. I'm just going to keep the pine trees because those are the largest ones. Now, if we go up into the rendered viewport mode, you can see everything looks very gray. So to fix this, I'm going to go up here to the render properties, and on the color management, I'm going to use Filmic. You could use AGX, but I'm just going to use Filmic. And then here on the look, I'm going to change this to high contrast. So that's going to make everything a bit more contrasted. So now I'm going to animate the camera, but before I animate the camera, I'm going to open up the timeline, and what I'm going to do is actually not have the animation start until frame 2, and then I'm going to have the animation end at 251. So the entire animation is still going to be 250 frames, but I'm just offsetting it. Now, why I'm offsetting it is because we are going to have animated snow, but what I'm going to do is have the snow kind of start in a negative value. But the problem with this is that if the snow is animated in a negative value, then when we simulate it or when we bake it, the snow is going to really quickly jump to its location at frame 1. And that isn't a problem except if you're using motion blur. But I am going to turn on motion blur in the scene, so turn on motion blur, and the motion blur is going to make the snow look more realistic. It's going to add just a little bit of a blur to it. But with the motion blur on, because we're going to be animating the snowflake particles in the negative value, when we bake it, it's going to bake and then it'll start playing at frame 1. So Blender basically jumps all of the particles over to its starting position. And so then when the motion blur is on frame 1, there's kind of this strong blurring. So I'll throw up a render right here so you can see what I'm talking about. Basically, there's all this blurring on frame 1, so it looks really weird. It's just for the very first frame, but I'm just going to have it start at frame 2 and end at 251. And that way we won't get that weird blurring at the very starting on frame 1. So now we're going to animate the camera. So I'm just going to select the camera, and let's just bring the camera back a little bit. And I'm just going to rotate the camera over a little bit, kind of bring it up a little bit, maybe like that. So maybe I'll choose that for the starting position, but you can do whatever you want. And I'm going to press K, and I'm going to insert location, rotation, scale. So now what I'm going to do is go to the very end. So just like 1 frame after the end frame, and I'll just bring the camera forward. Maybe like that. Maybe I'll rotate it over a little bit. I don't want to move the camera too much because I want it to be moving pretty slow so it feels like a very relaxing, calming scene. So let's now move the camera here and then hit K, and we're going to insert location, rotation, scale. So now if I go back to the starting and play this, it starts to speed up and then slows down. So let's select all the keyframes in the timeline by hitting A, and then we'll hit T, and we're going to choose linear, so it plays at a more consistent speed. And then if you want to like scale up the keyframes, you can hit S to scale the keyframes, so they just move a little bit slower. So then you can just go into the rendered mode, or you could even go into the material preview just to kind of see how that's looking. Now I want to add a depth of field to the camera, so what I'm going to do is just place my 3D cursor like right here where this tree is. Just find some tree which is kind of far into the scene, and I'll go to the add menu, and I'm just going to add a empty. Let's add an empty. I'm just going to add a sphere empty and kind of scale it down, and the empties won't show up in the render. I'll also press F2 to rename this, and I can just like call this focus. So now let's click here to select the camera. We'll go to the camera settings. We'll turn on depth of field. On the focus object, we can just type in focus and choose the focus. And then we'll go into the rendered mode just to see how this is looking. So what I like to do is turn the f-stop all the way down so that there's a lot of blur. And then I can just slowly turn it up more and more. And I think probably for this scene, maybe turning it to like a 1 is pretty good. So kind of in the very back, it'll probably start to blur a little bit. So yeah, it is blurring a little bit. And then also like close up here, that tree is blurring a little bit. So I think that's pretty good. But generally things are mostly in focus. So let's go back to the solid view, and now what I want to do is animate the snow. So first we need to create a snow object. So I'm just going to open up the outliner, and I'll put the focus into the scene, and then I will hide the scene, and I'm going to enable the assets. Then I'm going to right click here, and we're going to add a new, and so this one I'm going to rename to snow. Now let's go to the add menu, and I'm going to go to image, and I'm going to add a mesh plane. So I'm going to be downloading this snowflake image from Pixabay, so you can download it with the links in the video description. And then I'm going to click on import images as planes, and I'll hit Alt-G to bring it back to the very center. And then I'll just bring it over here, and let's just zoom in. And I'm not going to scale it. I'm just going to leave it at the size that it currently is. And I'm going to put it in the snow collection, and I can just call it snowflake. Let's go into the material preview, and in edit mode, I just want to duplicate it and rotate it on the Z by 90. Duplicate again and rotate it on the Y by 90. So back in object mode now, you can see we basically have like a 3D snowflake. So now let's just hide the snowflake, hide the assets, and we're going to show the original scene again. And let's go to the add menu, and I'm going to add a giant plane. So let's bring the plane up, and in edit mode, I'm going to scale it way up. We can also turn off proportional editing. We'll go to top view, scale it way up, and if we're just going to fit it so it's basically a little bit larger than our entire scene. And we need to bring it up a bit higher, so something like that. And we'll go into the camera view, and that's looking pretty good. So we're going to have snow falling out of this, so we can rename the plane to like snow particle emitter or whatever you want to call it, and let's just put it into the scene here. So now let's add particles to this. So I'll go to the particles, we'll click on the plus to add particles, and I can just call the particles snow. And what we want to do is go here to the render, and instead of halo, we're going to choose object, and then for the object, we're going to type in snow, and we're going to add the snowflake object. So now we can hit the space bar to play this, and it's going to be really small, so they're really hard to see. If you go into wireframe, you can see them a bit better. So let's go back up here to the top, and on the number, I'm going to make this 10,000. So 10 with 3 zeros. So 10,000, so there are a lot more of them. Now, when the animation starts, I want all the snowflakes to already be falling down in the scene. So instead of the start frame being at 1, I'm going to make the start frame negative 1,000. So since it's in the negative value, it's going to start to simulate in the negative values. So if we go back to the starting and play this, then it should kind of update. It's not really updating right now, but we're just going to use the bake feature later to bake it. And so once we get to frame 1, when it starts, the snow will already be in the scene. Now the end frame, I want it to end at 251 because that is the end frame of our animation. Now we also need to turn the lifetime up, because if the lifetime isn't turned up, then basically the snowflakes are going to just like disappear and end before they get all the way down. So we need to make the lifetime really big, so I'm going to make it like 3,000. So we go back to the starting and play this, they are going to last a lot longer now. So you can see they're just continuing to fall and fall. It's really hard to see because they're really small, but we're going to make them larger. So let's actually do that now. So if we go down here to the render, we can turn the scale up, and now you can see them a lot better. So if we go back to the starting and play this, you can see now it updated. So it basically simulated them in the negative values. So once we get to frame 1, there's already lots of snow falling in the scene. Now these snowflakes are just falling straight down, and I want to make them look a little bit more random, make them look like they're very light, and make it look like the wind is blowing them around. So I'm going to open up the physics, and on the Brownian, I'm going to turn this up to the max, which is 200. So 200 is the maximum you can turn it up to, and you can see by turning up the Brownian, they kind of move around, and they just have a bit more of a random movement. So that just makes it look like they're very light, and the wind is kind of blowing them around. Now also in the timeline, sometimes it's like skipping a few frames. That's because I do video editing in Blender, and so on the playback settings, I have the sync set to sync to audio. I'm going to change it to play every frame, and now if I play this, it shouldn't skip any frames. So if you use video editing for Blender, you might just need to remember to turn that setting off, so that's just why I wanted to mention that. Now I also want to make it a bit slower because they're just moving too fast. So I want to open up the integration under the physics. And on the time step here, I'm going to turn this to a 0.008. So 0.008, so they're moving a lot slower. Now it does look like they're moving very slow right now, but they're also going to be a lot smaller for the final animation. So let's change the scale now that we've changed kind of some of the other settings. We'll change the scale so that it'll actually be more of the scale that I actually want. So I'm going to turn the scale just to a 0.2. So I think 0.2 is pretty good. So we can just play this, and you can still definitely see them, but they are pretty small. And on the scale randomness, I'm going to turn this to 0.5. So that'll just make some of the snowflakes quite a bit smaller. So now we just have a very, very light snowfall. Now if I go into the rendered viewport mode, we can see how this is looking in the rendered mode, but you can see the giant plane right up there and it's kind of messing up the lighting. So what we want to do is we want to close all of these, and let's open up the viewport, so viewport display, and we want to turn off show emitter. That's going to hide the emitter object. Then to hide it in the render, we want to open up the render settings and also show emitter, so turn that off so it also won't show up in the render. So now we want to bake the frames, so let's open up the cache here, and we're just going to click on the bake button, and that's going to bake all of the 250 frames, and it is important that you bake it, because if you don't bake it, then when you render the animation, there might be a glitch where it like stops and then like redoes the animation. I find that happens sometimes. So before you render an animation, it's definitely a good idea to bake it. So now we just have a nice soft snowfall. So let's now do some compositing. So first I need to just render an image. So let's go to the render settings, and I'm going to open up the sampling here, and I'm going to render this scene with 100 samples, and I'm going to turn on the denoise. So I'll just save the project and then just render one image. All right, so one of the shots has rendered. If I zoom in here really close, you can see there is like one of the snowflakes, and it looks a little bit long because there's just a little bit of motion blur. So it's a little bit hard to see them right now, but I do want them to be quite subtle because I want it to be a very subtle snowfall. So let's go over here to the compositing, and I have a 3D viewport here, but I'm just going to close that, and we'll just click on new to add new compositing nodes. And this, I believe, is a bug in Blender 5.0. It always seems to happen when I'm filming video tutorials. I don't know why this happens other than it maybe being a bug, but you can see it kind of is hiding some of the nodes. It's happened in other videos, and it also happens in the shader editor as well. So I'm just going to have to bring the nodes over here so that you can see them. So what I'm first going to do is grab the tune image from the shelf, the asset shelf, drop it here, and we'll put it here in the render layers. And I'm going to turn the color boost to a 0.2 just to boost the color a bit so it looks a little bit more saturated. Then here on the clarity, I'm just going to turn this up to like a 0.1 so everything just looks a little bit more sharp. Then what I want to do is search for RGB curves and drop the RGB curves right here. And so what I want to do is make it a bit more contrasted. So I'll click here to add more lightness to the white values, but then click here and drag this down to add more darkness to the dark values. So you can see it's just making everything a bit more contrasted. But I don't want to make it too blown out because you can see like right over here, that looks a little bit blown out. So I don't want to make it too strong. You can press the M key to mute the node and unmute the node just to see what it's looking like. Now I also want to pop the blue out because I want this to look like a very cold scene to really bring out the blue. So I'm going to click on the B for blue, and I'm just going to pull this up a little bit so everything looks quite a bit more blue. So you can see that really color corrects the image and makes it look a lot nicer. Then what I want to do is add a vignette. So we're just going to add the vignette here from the shelf and just drop it right there, drop it in there, and then we can just change the vignette settings. So I definitely want to turn the factor down so it's not as strong, but then let's also turn the feather. I actually want to turn the feather up so it's a little bit more blurred, and then we'll turn the factor down. So the factor is how visible it is, but the feather is kind of like that edge blurring. So you can see if I turn the feather way down, it's not blurred enough. So something like that. So we're just going to add a very subtle vignette. That's probably even a little bit too strong, so I'll make it even less strong, just like that. So you can see there is the image before. It's kind of just gray, doesn't look very interesting, and there it is after. So that really makes the final render look a lot nicer. So now let's render this out to frames. So let's just go here to the output properties. I'm going to go down here to the output and just click on this button to set an output. So in my project files, I'm just going to click on the plus to create a new folder. I can just call this frames. I can go into the folder and click on accept, and then I'm just going to render it to PNG images, and we're just going to render 250 frames. So I'll just save the project again, and then I'll just render the animation. Now while this project is rendering, I wanted to let you know about a really great render farm service for Blender. BlenderGrid is an easy-to-use render farm specifically designed for Blender. I've used the service and I highly recommend it. Start by uploading your Blender file or a zip file with the Blender file and textures. You can then check over the render settings on the website and make any changes. BlenderGrid will calculate the cost before you start rendering. It will also render some preview frames that you can check over to make sure everything is rendering properly before you start the render. You can even choose when you want the render to finish if you're on a tight deadline. Once it finishes, just download the files and compile the frames in a video editor. You can find my full review video linked in the description, and if you use my affiliate link to sign up, you can get $20 off your first cloud render. Alright, so when the animation is finished rendered, we're going to open up a new project, and I'm actually going to click on File, New, and we're going to open up Video Editing. And then here on the sequencer, I'll hit Shift A, and I'm going to go to Image/Sequence. Then we're going to locate to the folder with all the frames and just hit A to select all the frames, and we're going to add the image strip. And we can just drag the image strip right over here. Now I haven't finished rendering out all the images yet, but I just want to finish up the recording of the video tutorial series, but I'll render out all the frames to 250 frames. So here's the animation so far. So this is what I've rendered. So now we can also add some sound effects. So the links are going to be in the video description if you want to use the same sound effects that I'm using from freesound.org. So from my file browser, I'm just going to drop in this forest sound effect. So I'll bring this over, and this is just a nice forest ambience. You can kind of hear some wind, and it kind of sounds like it might be snowing, and you can hear a little bit of nature. Then I'm also going to drop in this forest bird sound effect here. And so that's just a nice sound effect with some little birds in the background. So you can just create all the different shots. You could do like different shots with different camera angles, and then you could put them all together. You could also put some other sound effects or music. But now let's render this to a final video. So I can go to the output properties, and I can click on this button here to set an output. And I can just save this in my project files, click on accept, and then right here I can just rename this to like final video or whatever you want to call it. Then here on the media type, I'm going to change this to video. Then here on the encoding, I'm going to use MPEG-4 as the container. On the video codec, I'm going to use H.264, and I'll use medium quality and good here on the quality. And then for the audio, I like to use AAC. So you can save the video editing project and then just click on render and render the final animation. So that'll wrap it up for this tutorial series on how to create this stylized winter forest environment in Blender. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial series. And if you posted your finished result on YouTube, you can definitely comment and let me know about it, and I'll check out your channel and check out your finished animation. And if you enjoy my tutorials and you'd like to help support me and this channel to help me keep on creating these free videos, then a great way to do that is by checking out my Gumroad store and my Patreon page. So on my Gumroad and Patreon, you can get access to 3D models and assets, tutorial files, artwork project files, procedural materials, geometry node modifier setups, and lots more Blender content on my Gumroad and Patreon. So if you'd like to support the channel monthly, you can join one of my Patreon memberships and you'll be supporting the channel each month. Or if you'd like to make a one-time purchase of one of my products, you can check out my Gumroad store. And if you'd like to help support the channel here on YouTube, then you can check out the YouTube memberships by clicking down there on the join button, and so you'll be supporting the channel monthly and you'll get some cool perks here on YouTube. And you can also use the super thanks feature to send me a little tip in the comments if you'd like to do that. So thank you everyone so much for your support. But I hope you enjoyed the tutorial series, and thank you for watching.